Okay, so for this next lesson, we're going to talk about how to hold a cell reference constant. So meaning when I want to talk to a cell and I want it to not change. I just want that to keep saying I want to talk to the same cell. So here's the idea. Let's say I had a whole bunch of big accounts and I had $1,000 in one, $2,000 in another, and $80 in another. And my accountant said, I need to deposit 5%. So I'm going to just change this type of cell. I'm going to go from general. I'm going to change it to a percent. And now I'm going to call it 5. So now it's 5%. Now, what if I wanted 5% of each of these amounts? Well, if you take a second, pause the video, calculate what 5% should be. But now what I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm going to do, how do I get percent? Well, I take my amount and I multiply. So I use the little star key, times, which is above the 8, just for reference, times the percentage. And that'll give me $50. So 5% of 1,000 must be $50. Now, I want the same thing here, and I want 5% of 2,000. So I could do that, I click on my cell, I click A2 times, and I click on my B1, and I hit enter, and it gives me my $100. So 5% of $2,000 is $100. But what if this list was amazingly long? What if I had more than a few cells, and I wanted to kind of automate this process? So I wasn't typing this in so many times. Well, as we learned about creating patterns, I should just be able to click on the box that has the pattern, has the values I want, click on the little corner, drag it down, and have it repeat the process. But it doesn't work. So the reason why here is what we can see is Excel tries to be very smart. It's saying right now you're using A2 times B1. So the next box, it's going to progress all those numbers for us. It's saying, okay, and if I click on it, you can see it's saying do A2 times B1. Then on the next box, it's saying do A3, which is right, but now times B2 instead of B1. And I wanted it to hold that B1 box constant. So here's how we say, don't change this. So up here in the formula equals bar, the things I don't want to change, all I do is put a $sign in front of them. So as I drag down, I don't want that B column to change. So I put a $sign in front of it. And then also as I drag down, I don't want that number 1 to change. So I put a $sign in front of it. So now what that's saying is take the A2 box times B1, but the $signs are saying just if I do any dragging, keep the B1 the same. So now as I drag down, all my numbers work. And so you'll see, because as we go A2, now I go down, it changed the A3, then it's going to change to A4, A5, A6, A7, all that. But it held the B1 constant. It's going to take the value times the B1. Now, the reason I put the $sign in front of the B and the 1 is I could theoretically, instead of having my numbers go vertical, what if I had them going horizontally? Let me redo this spreadsheet. Okay, so you can see what I've done is just kind of rearranged it. So a lot of people like to create their spreadsheets like this. So they have one row for just the amounts in their accounts, and then they have another row for their computations. So if I want 5%, I'm going to say, okay, well, I want my 5% times the amount in the account, which will give me my same $50. But now as I drag across, which box do I want held the same? Pause the video, think to yourself. Okay, I want the B1 box held constant. So up here in my equation, I'm going to put a $sign in front of the B and a $sign in front of the 1. So now as I drag across, it's going to let the other value change. The B2, as I go across, I want it to use C2, D2, E2. So as I drag, those things should change. So here, if you look, the values that are now in this box, it's still using the $sign for B1, it's still using the 5%, but it's letting the account change. It's going to C2, then D2, then E2. Okay, so that's the gist of how to hold cells constant. We use the $sign in front of the letter and the $sign in front of the number, so that way neither of those things change. So play with it, see what happens. Try leaving one of them without a $sign. Maybe just do B $1 and try dragging both directions and see what changes, see what doesn't. Play around with it until you get comfortable, and then we'll see you at the next video.